There is an animal in sub-Saharan Africa that most people have completely miscategorized. They have seen it in zoo enclosures, moving slowly through shallow water, pausing to open its mouth in what looks like a lazy, exaggerated yawn. They have watched it in wildlife footage and filed it away under something like large, harmless, vaguely comic. That mental categorization is one of the most dangerous errors a person can make in the presence of a wild animal. The hippopotamus is the deadliest large land mammal on Earth. Not the lion, not the leopard, not the crocodile, which receives considerably more cultural fear than it statistically deserves. The hippo, and the reason most people do not know this, is embedded in the same biology that makes the hippo lethal. It does not look like what it is. A male hippopotamus stands roughly 1.5 meters at the shoulder. It weighs between 1,500 and 3,000 kilograms. Those numbers produce a predictable assumption in the human brain. Something that heavy must be slow, must lumber, must give you warning and give you time. Every part of that assumption is wrong. On land, a hippopotamus can reach 30 kilometers per hour in a short burst. Some estimates based on field observation place that figure closer to 40. The average human sprint speed is approximately 24 kilometers per hour. You cannot outrun a hippopotamus on flat terrain. You cannot outrun one on a riverbank. You cannot outrun one moving through shallow water, where it does not swim but drives its full body mass forward against the river bottom with its legs, generating momentum that water does nothing to slow. The only environment where a human might create enough distance is deep open water, which introduces its own immediate dangers. The speed, however, is almost secondary to what the animal can do when it reaches you. A hippopotamus' jaw opens to 150 degrees, a gap that looks structurally impossible on an animal this size, wide enough to close around a human body without difficulty. The canine teeth, which serve no feeding function and exist entirely as weapons for territorial combat with other hippos, reach up to 50 centimeters in length. Bite force has been measured at over 1,800 pounds per square inch. For comparison, a lion's bite registers around 650 pounds per square inch. A crocodile's jaw, which is frequently cited as one of the most powerful in the animal kingdom, operates as a narrow precision instrument designed to grip and hold. A hippopotamus jaw is a demolition mechanism. It was designed by evolution to shatter the body of another hippopotamus. When it closes on a human being, the result is not a wound. It is structural destruction, and unlike a crocodile which bites to grip and drown, a hippo bites to destroy, tosses, returns, and repeats. When a hippo attack occurs, research indicates that 87% of them are fatal. Not dangerous, not severe, fatal. Understanding why requires understanding what you are actually dealing with beneath the barrel-shaped exterior. Hippos are not herbivores that happen to be temperamental. They are semi-aquatic mammals with a territorial instinct that governs entire stretches of river, a hair-trigger aggression response that activates faster than most predators initiate a hunt, and an evolutionary history that left them with effectively no natural fear. Their closest living relatives are not horses or rhinoceroses, as their shape might suggest. They are cetaceans, whales, and dolphins. That shared ancestry matters. It means the hippopotamus is wired for an aquatic world where dominance, not avoidance, is the foundational survival strategy. A dominant male controls a river stretch of up to 250 meters. Within that corridor, he controls access to water, to females, and to the resources that define survival in a semi-arid river ecosystem. Any intrusion into that territory, another male, a fishing canoe, a person waiting at dawn, is not processed as a curiosity or a nuisance. It is processed as a territorial challenge requiring immediate, maximum force response. This is the detail that distinguishes hippopotamus aggression from almost every other large dangerous animal. Most apex predators operate with a threat assessment phase. A lion that feels challenged will posture, vocalize, lower its head, issue signals that give whatever is threatening it a window to withdraw. That window exists because the lion is calculating risk. It has been shaped by evolutionary history that includes the possibility of injury. the possibility of losing, the possibility of a cost that makes the engagement not worth it. The hippopotamus has never had that experience. No natural predator pursues adult hippopotamuses. Not lions, not spotted hyenas, not Nile crocodiles, nothing. The hippopotamus exists at the absolute top of the freshwater ecosystem's threat hierarchy, and it has occupied that position across its entire evolutionary history. The consequence is an animal whose aggression has never been moderated by the experience of losing. It has no concept of a fight it cannot win, because it has never encountered one. When a hippopotamus charges, it is not assessing the situation. The decision has already been made, and it does not involve withdrawal as an option. The famous open-mouth display that tourists photograph and caption as yawning is not yawning, it is a threat display, a final warning before an attack. The window between that warning and physical contact is measured in seconds. Many attacks happen with no visible warning at all. In 2014, a group of passengers was crossing the Niger River in Mali in a wooden pirogue, a narrow traditional boat barely wide enough for two people abreast. A hippopotamus surfaced beneath the vessel and capsized it in a single motion. At least 18 people drowned. Some accounts place the toll higher. The entire event lasted seconds. The hippopotamus did not pursue survivors in the water. It did not need to. This is one of the most important and least understood aspects of hippo lethality. The attack itself is frequently not the killing mechanism. The water is. A capsized boat in a river channel at night in remote sub-Saharan Africa with no rescue infrastructure available produces drowning deaths that never get attributed to a hippopotamus in any official record. The animal tips the boat and disappears. The river does the rest. Hippo attacks on fishing boats and river transport occur across Uganda, Tanzania, Zambia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo with a regularity that almost never surfaces in international reporting. These incidents happen in remote communities, among people who have no alternative route for transport, no alternative water source, no option to simply avoid the rivers where hippopotamuses live. For these communities, hippo encounters are not extraordinary events. They are occupational realities. The estimated annual death toll attributed to hippopotamus attacks ranges from around 500 to significantly higher figures, with the true number almost certainly undercounted, because most deaths occur far from any hospital, census, or reporting mechanism. The assumption that hippos are dangerous in water and manageable on land is another misconception with potentially fatal consequences. Hippos spend daylight hours submerged, regulating body temperature and protecting their skin from sun exposure. Their skin produces a reddish, oily secretion that functions as both a natural sunscreen and an antimicrobial agent. It is not blood, despite the appearance that sometimes suggests it. After dark, they come ashore to graze. A hippopotamus can travel up to 10 kilometers on land in a single night, following fixed paths to grazing areas that have been used for generations. These paths are not random. They are memorized routes, and they are defended with the same territorial intensity as the water corridor. A person positioned between a hippopotamus and its path back to water, through darkness, through tall grass, through simple geographic misfortune, is in one of the most acutely dangerous situations available in the natural world. The animal will not assess whether the person is a threat, will not vocalize a warning, and will not slow down. There is documented evidence of experienced safari guides, people with years of professional knowledge of dangerous animal behavior in familiar terrain, being killed by hippopotamus charges that came from unexpected directions at speeds that left no time to respond. The real victims of hippopotamus attacks are not tourists. They are farmers returning home after dark, children moving to river access points at dusk, fishermen whose boats share channels with territorial males who have mapped those same channels as their own for years. These attacks happen in the margins of international awareness and rarely produce the kind of coverage that shapes public perception of dangerous animals. What makes hippopotamus behavior additionally complex is the intelligence operating beneath the aggression. Hippos demonstrate social memory. They recognize individual animals and, based on consistent field reports from communities living alongside them, appear to recognize individual humans and specific vessels across extended periods. Communities living near high-density hippo populations have reported specific animals that returned repeatedly to the same stretch of river and engaged the same boats, responding not to novel stimuli but to recognized patterns. Whether this constitutes individual targeting in a cognitive sense or territorial conditioning reinforced by repeated experience is debated in the research literature. What is not debated is that hippopotamus behavior adapts based on experience. An animal that has been disturbed, startled, or injured near a specific location returns to that location with a heightened aggression threshold. The hippopotamus population in the wild currently stands at between 115,000 and 130,000 individuals, down from approximately 157,000 in 2004. That decline of roughly 20% over 2 decades is driven by habitat loss. As human settlements expand into river corridors, drought reducing available freshwater territory, and illegal hunting. Hippopotamus canine teeth are a significant black market commodity, demand for which accelerated sharply after international restrictions on elephant ivory trade tightened. The export volume of hippopotamus teeth has increased by over 530%. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, hippopotamus populations declined by 95% in the first 2 decades of this century. The common hippopotamus is currently classified as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List. The pygmy hippopotamus, a smaller forest-dwelling relative found in West Africa with a population of only 2,000 to 3,000 individuals, is classified as endangered. The communities that have lived alongside hippopotamuses across generations have not misread this animal. They have developed detailed, accumulated knowledge across centuries. Which river channels are unsafe at which hours? What sounds indicate a hippopotamus is moving toward the bank in darkness? Which crossings must never be made at dusk, regardless of the need? This knowledge represents exactly the kind of empirical understanding of dangerous animal behavior that gets built when the consequences of misreading that behavior are immediate and fatal. These communities hold the hippopotamus in something that sits between fear and genuine respect, not as opposites, but as the same recognition shaped by proximity to an animal that demands both. The hippopotamus is not a background animal. It is not ambient scenery in an African river landscape. It is a 3,000-kilogram territorial mammal with no natural predators, a bite that can destroy a wooden boat hull, a sprint speed that exceeds human capacity on any terrain, and no evolutionary history that includes backing down. It lives not at the edge of the world in places humans need never go, but in the river systems that communities across sub-Saharan Africa depend on for water, for food, and for transport. It was in those rivers before the fishing boats arrived. It considers those rivers its own, and it defends that position with the complete confidence of an animal that has never, in its entire evolutionary history, had any reason to do otherwise. The water is still. The surface gives nothing away. Somewhere beneath it, motionless as the riverbed itself, something is watching.